Here are 3 things I would say to you if I wasn't worried about offending you. The truth is, I'll probably offend some people anyways, but I thought I would give you that disclaimer because women living life on their own terms, especially women with money living life on their own terms, really are offensive to society. So I'm gonna say it anyways. Number 1 is you are still turning your desires into problems. This was literally the first chapter of my book because your desires are your roadmap. They are your guidance. They are your divine data points of what's to come. But when we turn our desires into problems, we go into a completely different paradigm. So chapter number 1, yes, this is still happening. And I'll give you examples of this. So women will come and tell me, okay, they want to make $1 million in their business like in 1 year, or they want to have the most like romantic divine union of their life, right? And we'll start working on that, and then the next thing you know, they're like solving problems that haven't occurred yet. Let me give you an example of this. Let's say someone comes in and they say, I am so ready, like this is the year that I'm gonna make $1 million in my business, right? And they've got their business started. They're like, yeah, this is what I'm gonna sell. This is how many people I'm gonna sell it to. This is what I'm doing. 2 days later, they're worried about what's gonna happen when they get married. Girl, you're not even dating right now. Yeah, but I know I'm not dating right now. But like when I get married, like what if he's like triggered by the $1 million that I made? That's not a problem right now, okay? Make the $1 million first, and then we'll solve that problem when and if it occurs, right? Or, for example, they start dating and they say, this is the year that I get married. I can feel it. Like I'm gonna manifest my soulmate. Next day, they're worried about how they're gonna be so afraid when they have kids. Or what if their like divine union doesn't work out after they have kids? You're not pregnant yet. Why are we thinking about, like, I thought we're manifesting the soulmate right now. This is such a big issue for women. I feel like this is where men do have a leg up over us, is that they they can focus, okay? We're all over the freaking place. And I say this with so much love, but you're just gonna get to your desired outcome, your future self, so much faster when you can stop doing that. Stop being like, all over the place and trying to solve problems that haven't occurred yet. I used to be the queen of this in my 20s. I've talked about this in my book. I've talked about this on my YouTube channel, that I would lay there worrying about things that hadn't occurred yet. And by the time a decade later that problem was supposed to occur, it didn't occur because my circumstances were completely different at that point. So when and if that problem occurs, you'll have the resources to resolve it, because if the problem occurs in the future, then the solutions will also be in the future. So why are we talking about this right now? Stop it, okay? Stop it. Number 2, girl, you are too scattered. You are too all over the place. There's this saying that if you have more than 3 priorities, you have none. And the older I get, the more experience I have, the more money I make, the more clients I hold. I'm learning that to be true. So your desires really do require devotion. But what if you're thinking, okay, well, yeah, Mina, but like I want it all, like you have it. Yes, but if you follow my journey, you'll realize that at every time at every point when the desire came for the next thing, I would become freaking obsessed with it. I remember my mom used to say that when Mina is obsessed, she's possessed, get out of her way. Like I would become obsessed until that thing would manifest. There was nothing you could do or say. Like I didn't care who was dying, who was being birthed, like I was getting that thing. You're going to have some devotion. Desires require devotion. And this brings me to something that I'm actually about to go teach in my desires class, which is happening today. August 15th, 16th, and 17th, my husband and I are teaching how to turn your desires into dollars and divine union. And I'm going to be teaching on signal versus noise. And this is not a new concept for men. Like successful hunter men have been using this concept for millions of years. Even even the new mutation, the farmers have been using it too. Women really struggle with this, really struggle with it. I think it's because the way we're wired, right? We can take in so much data points all at once. Our brains have diffuse awareness versus like single focus. So I can see why that happens. But girl, you're gonna have to train yourself, because if you just let your consciousness be like wherever and everywhere, you're going to be like, okay, I'm on this road, this is my desire, this is where I'm going, and now this girl said this thing, and you're like, oh, I'm going over here, and then this one, oh, I'm doing, and it's like before you know it, you've wasted like 3 months, and you're like, what am I even doing? Oh wait, I was supposed to be doing this. And then you come back for 2 days, and then this one said this thing, and then that one did that thing, and then now you're going over here. Stop it. So you're going to have to get really, really clear on what is noise and what is signal. The more successful you get, the more noise there is going to be. I have learned this. I get pitched thousands of times a day, okay? Like people are DMing me, can you be on my podcast? Can you do this collab? Can you promote this thing? I have people emailing me about their gaming equipment that I should be promoting. It's like, have you even taken a look at my channel? I'm not talking to gamers, right? Like you get pitched at day in. People want to write your emails. They want to do your thumbnails. If I took the time like to get distracted with all of that, that's all just noise. That has nothing to do with my 3 priorities in life. And so when you're so clear on those priorities and what you're focused on, all of that is just noise. This is another thing I've noticed with people that are really successful in their life as a mother, as a wife, as a 8-figure entrepreneur. Like I can tell you this is when you wake up and you're like, these are the things that I'm supposed to do today. And there's like all of these seeming emergencies, other people's emergencies that are not important. They're not priorities. They're just noise. If you don't have the ability to laser focus on the signals for the day, you're going to get sidetracked. It's always going to look urgent. Some people, as I talked about in my last video, are arsonists, and they turn every little thing into an emergency. Just because they're lighting everything on fire doesn't mean you have to be a firefighter. So you're gonna have to get really, really clear that you're not 911, okay? That you're not gonna be the one that people call all the time. Now, there's a difference between someone being in a season of duality. Like I have family and friends where they're not arsonists, they're just in a season of duality, and I will be there for them 1000%. And then there's people that are arsonists where the smallest thing, like they can't log into their account, or you know, they got lost, will be turned into the biggest like world disaster, and they'll call you. You need to be able to focus on the signal. You need to train people to know that you are not 911 for emergency situations. You know, even 911 dispatchers, like they're so trained to be like, calm down. You could be like, there's someone in my house. Calm down. They like calm you down first because they can't even understand what you're saying when you're so worked up. So if people get you like with cortisol racing through your body, you need to untrain them that you're not going to be that person for them. Okay. Here's number 3. You are way too emotional or way too in your head to actually achieve the things that you say. There you go. I said it. What I've learned after coaching tens of thousands of women globally is that there's 2 types of people that have the hardest time manifesting their desires. Number 1 type, and this is me, this is my type, and this is like I would say 80% of my clients, 80-90% of my clients, where when they're dysregulated, they get too heady. They go in their head. They start overthinking things. They get uncertain, okay? They're like overanalyzing things, okay? This is the classic self-aware Barbie, right? So these people live slightly above emotion. They have, if you really tap into the frequency, there's an energy of like dryness. There's an energy of like rigidness. It's a little bit, it could be even a little bit uptight. That's when they're dysregulated. Now, you can be fairly successful doing that, and that's that like lady boss, like boss bitch kind of an energy. You can be fairly successful because you're like going into your masculine energy, you're using up testosterone from your organs, or you're using more than you even are making, and you can do that. But there's a cap, because you're going to get burned out. You're gonna dry out. Your divinity, your femininity, your sacredness will dry out. Okay, so there's a cap. You can be successful, but you will burn out. So that's one type of person. The second type of person is when they are dysregulated, they get very emotional. Okay, they're like drowning. They're below emotion. And emotions, as you know, are highly addictive substances, highly addictive. So the type 1 person, that's like looping and overthinking and overanalyzing. It's the energy of like the mental plane, right? And then there's the type 2 person they're drowning in emotions when they're dysregulated. I've met few people like that are successful like that. It's less likely you will be successful, but I have met a few that that was their default state and they were be able to be successful. But typically they really struggle because they get overwhelmed with every little thing. You know, they absorb other people's sadness or grief, and they can't tell the difference between their stuff and the other person's things and their things. So it's harder to be successful here, but I have met few that was their dominant type and they've done it. I've met more of the type that get heady. Okay, so what's the type as a woman that is like guaranteed success? The type that whether you're here or here, you can work through emotion and really, really fast. When I say through emotion, people think I'm talking about like 2 decades of therapy, or I'm talking about processing your emotions indefinitely. Like I said, emotions are highly addictive substances. So you want to move through. Yes, you don't want to spiritually bypass. You want to work through, and I help my clients do that. We're not spiritually bypassing, but we do it fast. And there is a science to why you should be doing it fast, because the more time you spend doing that, the more that becomes your excuses, the more that becomes really addictive, the more it's like now you're stuck there. And why do you want to be stuck there? Why don't you want to just create the life of your dreams? Like get rich, get happy, get loved up, juiced up. That's the life of your dreams. So that's what I've seen is if you can learn to work through emotions, you're gonna have to learn to hang up on your thoughts. You're going to have to learn to, if you're overly emotional, to come back up into the logic. So what I do with my clients is first I have to quickly judge where they're at. If they're the type that gets really heady or really emotional, if they're the type that gets really, really heady, I bring them down and through. If they're the type that's really, really emotional, I bring them up and through. So you cannot have a one type process. If you are a coach or a therapist or a mentor, you can't have a one size fits all, because you have to know the person that you're working with. A lot of times what can happen is you think everyone is like you. Whatever your nervous system state is, you think everyone is like you, and that's not true. I used to think that too. I'm like, well, I get into my head, so everyone gets into their head. No, some people get really into their emotional body and they start drowning, and they need someone. They literally need a lifeguard to be like, girl, I'm over here, like whistle, like here, you're throwing you a raft, like come out of there. Okay, I know I said I was gonna tell you 3 things, but there is another one that comes up a lot with clients that you're probably going to be offended. You're probably going to be triggered, but I have to say this, okay? You are trying to solve rich people problems by having rich people thoughts when you're not rich yet. I know this can be really, I'm a projector. I know I'm very direct, but I have to say this to you. I'm going to give you a couple of examples that I see, right? So when I have good-hearted, kind-hearted, generous women come to me and say, I really want to make money, and because I have like these dreams of doing all of this charity work, like I want to do this, and this. And I'm like, great, amazing, right? But before they're able to go and do that, and then they come back and they say, well, I feel guilty. I feel bad because I'm over here, I'm trying to like charge people for my services, but what I really want to do is charity. And I'm going to give you an example from one of my friends' lives where she wants to do these amazing things in the world. Like God is really calling her into these really amazing charitable things. And she was telling me that, you know, she feels guilty because she wants to create these really amazing products and services. And she's super talented, like the master of her craft. And she wants to sell it to like wealthy people and make money, and so that she can do all this stuff. And then a friend of hers who's already doing these really big things was sharing with her, oh my God, I'm doing this. Like I'm going to Africa and I'm doing this and I'm building this. And she started feeling even more guilty. And she came to me and she said, Mina, that's what I want to be doing. But I'm like creating products and I'm trying to charge people. And I said, all the things you just listed that your friend is doing, those are amazing things. Sounds like they require a lot of money. Like, don't you need to have the money first? Like, do you need to be rich to do rich people things? Charity on that level, that's a rich person thing. And she was like, oh my God, this person, when we were in school together, was obsessed with making money. They focused only on making money because they had big dreams. So they focused on making money, made the money, and now are doing the things. But you're over here feeling guilty, right? And this is a very important story because that person was a man. And like he was like, okay, I want to do big things in the world. I'm going to focus on making money. He made the money and now he's doing rich people things. But as women, we get trapped in, but I feel guilty charging people. People want to pay for your services. People want those problems or those desires resolved and manifested. But we go into that. And this is where toxic charity comes in. So my parents weren't wealthy, but they were very charitable. And so they kept doing charity at their own expense. They did charity at the expense of their children and their family. And they never got rich. And they died with all these diseases, and they spent their entire life being resentful that people didn't appreciate all of their charity. That's not charity. That's lack of worthiness. That's wanting to prove your worth by sacrificing yourself. That looks like charity, but it's not actual charity. That's toxic behavior. That's you not seeing your worth and saying, maybe if I sacrifice myself and my children and my well-being, then I'll receive love. Then I'll receive admiration. Then I'll be appreciated. That is not charity. If you want to be a generous person, get rich as fast as you can. The most generous people that I know, really, truly doing generous thing, not like virtue signaling, pretending like they're generous so people will think they're a good person. Oh, you're such a good person. The booby trap of life, the booby prize. Actual generous people, they got rich as fast as they could, and then now they're generous. And their generosity doesn't come at their expense. They can afford to be healthy and generous. They can afford to take care of their kids and the world. They can afford to not sacrifice things. So stop lying to yourself. If you are really, truly a generous and charitable person, get rich. So when I came to and I saw what happened to my parents and I saw what happened to other people, I'm like, okay, if I truly am wanting to be a generous person, I'm going to have to be really, really rich. I'm going to have to be filthy rich. I'm going to have to be obscenely rich. I'm going to have to help rich people solve their problems and desires, take that money, take care of myself and my family, and then from that overflow, be generous. That's the only way to be generous. Otherwise, you're just fooling yourself and lying to yourself because you want to prove your worth. That's not generosity in my books. So I probably offended every single one of you by now. Let me know. It's okay to tell me in the comments. I love you anyways, and I'll see you in all the places. Bye.